This video is for my Patreon subscribers because, of course, if I did this video on YouTube, the way things are going, I'd be, booted off the platform immediately, yeah? Because this new censorship that's rolling out in YouTube basically posits that women are these perfect little angels who could never do any wrong, which is, of course, absurd. Women are people, and women are weak. And the way that they try to protect their weakness is to fake it and bluff their way out of trouble. Yeah, I mean, how many times have you been with some girl who basically says, if you don't do what I want, I'll leave you? Or perhaps she doesn't do that, but she basically threatens that she'll be upset or this or that or the other. She is threatening you with an outcome that you don't want. And so in order to avoid this outcome you don't want, you do what she wants. And often as not, of course, what she wants is something that you don't want. You're basically being blackmailed. That's what's going on. That's the shape of the encounter that you are having with a woman. And so what you have to do in that situation is you have to call her bluff every time, no matter how bad the consequence she is threatening you with. I read this book recently called Pimp, by an actual pimp who wrote this book in the late 60s. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm forgetting the guy's name. It was Slim something or other. His name is right here. Anyway, the book was really interesting. In the opening chapter, he talked about how one of the prostitutes who worked for him threatened to leave him. And he decided, okay, fine. And he drove her to the airport because she threatened to leave him. And of course, what happened? He drove her to the airport with her packed bags and everything, and she was giving him the silent treatment. She got out of the car. He got out of the car to help her with the bags and everything, and she was practically at the door, and of course, what happened was that she broke down and turned back, and she wanted to be with him, and that was that. He called her bluff. He called her bluff. See, women will never leave you. They will never leave you. And they will never carry through on the threat that they are, that they are claiming that they're going to inflict on you. Women will always fold because they're great at the bluff, but when the rubber meets the road, when you call her bluff, when you basically say, okay, fine, go ahead, leave me, the woman will never leave you. That's assuming, of course, that she wants to be with you, okay? That's assuming, of course, that she's threatening you with some outcome, some negative outcome, but she's essentially happy with the relationship. A lot of times, the bluffing and the emotional manipulation is just to test you, to make sure that you're not a weakling. And that's a different issue. Yeah, a lot of times, especially early on in the relationship, a woman is going to bluff you and threaten you with some negative outcome. And she doesn't really have any intention of carrying through with her bluff. What she wants to see is if you're strong enough to put up with her. And in those situations, the answer is obvious. You have to say no to whatever it is that she's threatening you with. You say, no, I'm not going to do what you want. And if you want to do this thing, carry through this threat that is very negative to me, fine, go ahead. I'm not going to change my mind. And she'll back down every time. But on the flip side of that, if she threatens you, if she's bluffing you, and you cave and you acquiesce, then she'll look at you as a weakling and she will lose respect for you. And the next time she threatens you, it might not be that she stays. Yeah. See, because a woman doesn't want a weakling. She doesn't want a guy who complies with her. She doesn't. She might claim that she does. She might say that she wants a guy who's understanding and who will do this, that, the other for her, and like understand her and work with her and compromise. But she doesn't really want a guy who compromises. No, she doesn't. She claims that she does. But in the moment of truth, when the rubber meets the road, to repeat that cliche, she hates it when a guy caves, because it indicates weakness. It indicates a man who's not going to stand up to outside forces. See, women are constantly probing the man that they are with until the moment they have a child with that man. That's what's going on. She wants to make sure that the man who potentially will be the father of her children is not a weakling, And so she constantly probes, constantly, relentlessly. She bluffs, she threatens, she's constantly poking at you. And if you cave, if you say, okay, fine, we'll do it your way, you lose every time, because it shows that you're weak, and therefore she's not really going to latch on to you. She's going to be scanning her horizon for a stronger man, for a man who will say no to her, because that's what she wants. That's what she needs. She needs a man to say no to her. The man who says yes to her is just a beta orbiter. He's a simp, he's a loser, he's a nothing, and he will be replaced every time. You call a woman's bluff, you say no to her, even when she threatens to leave you. Even when the consequences will break your heart, you have to stand fast, because she will back down. And here's the thing. If she doesn't back down, if she does leave you, she intended to leave you anyway. A woman who threatens to leave you if you don't do X, Y, or Z, and then she does leave you, she was going to leave you anyway. It was pointless. It could have been that moment when you said no to X, Y, Z, and if you'd said yes, it would have been something else later on, you know, PQR. It would have been some other incident. Eventually, she would have left you. Because a woman who actually carries out her threat to hurt you, to leave you, well, that woman had already made up her mind about you. And more likely than not, she had made up her mind about you because she already considered you weak. It's simple as that. See? All those little probes at the beginning of the relationship. Yeah, she's looking to see how weak you are. You see, in the beginning of a relationship especially, it's important to mark your line. It's important also to show that there are certain things that you don't really care about. I mean, like, just to give a trivial example, suppose she's like, you know, I want to go to a Thai restaurant. You say, oh, well, I only go to Italian. And she's like insisting, no, I really want to go to Thai, you know, and she sort of like threatens you mildly. You say, fine, if it's that important to you, we'll go there. But you have to make it clear to her that for you, it's not important, okay? She's probing. She's probing to check for the weaknesses, the soft spots, the things that actually matter, okay? And then she realizes, oh, the restaurant isn't important. And then she'll let that slide, and she'll have her way with the restaurants. But when it's something important, when she starts probing, and you're like, no, I don't want that, then she's going to insist, and she's going to bluff, and she's going to try to emotionally bully you into doing what she wants. That's the moment when you have to stand fast. And it might seem inconsequential, especially at the beginning of the relationship. But if it's something important to you, you have to hold fast. And if push comes to shove, even at the beginning of the relationship, she says, well, you know, then I don't want to go out with you anymore. You say, okay, fine. Because what happens in that situation is that if you say, okay, fine, she'll back down. And she might go through the whole thing of actually breaking up. Like the pimp, right? Like the pimp story, where the prostitute who worked for him got him to drive her all the way to the door of the airport, and right there, she broke down. See? Same thing. Same thing will happen. If she really wants to be with you, she'll go to the very edge and then reel it back in and turn around and cry, and you have to just hug her and just say, there, 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 there. But don't back off. Yeah, that would be like snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, for crying out loud. A lot of guys do that. A lot of guys figure that the girl backs down, starts crying, and then the guy says, okay, we'll do it your way. No, no, no. See, you do that, you've defeated the entire purpose of the exercise. Even after she's crying in your arms, even then she might try, you know, testing, trying out, and trying to see if she can get her way. And even then, you have to say no. Even then, actually, especially then. Because tears are a woman's ultimate weapon. Tears, emotional manipulation, getting a guy to feel sorry for her, getting you to feel sorry for her, that's her ultimate manipulation, her ultimate mindfuck. And women do it all the time. I mean, I've seen it. I saw it with my mother, for instance. I've seen it with my sister. I've seen it with my own wife. I've seen it with my daughter. I've seen it with girls I've known, you know, friends, girls who are just friends and girlfriends. I've seen it in every female of the species, right? It's always the same. When they break down in tears, that's their nuclear option. They break down in tears in front of you, pleading for you. And that's the moment when you have to be as firm as possible, because that's the moment where the balance of power in the relationship is on a seesaw. And if you cave when she cries, then it's over for you forever, because she will know. She will have used the nuclear option and won. And of course, on the flip side, she uses that nuclear option and loses. You got it made. You won't have to worry for a good long while. A good long while. But eventually you'll have to worry about it again. Because eventually, after enough time has passed, she'll try probing again. Because that's the way of women. This only ends when a woman has your kids, multiple kids. And like I said before in a previous video, what you have to do with a woman once she has your kids is keep her busy. Keep her busy with more kids, keep her busy building the nest, okay? Those are the only ways to distract her, kids and the nest. Because if she's not focused on kids and the nest, if she's focused on you, eventually she'll pull this shit again. And it's this constant power struggle. And frankly, do you really need that? Do you really want that?